Come on in, sit back and relax. You're listening to episode 239 of the WealthTech Today podcast. I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, founder of Ezra Group Consulting. And this podcast features interviews, news, and analysis on the trends and best practices all around wealth management technology. And this episode is part of our Breakaway Blueprint series, where we talk to technology leaders who have offerings and solutions that would be, we feel, would be great for breakaway advisors starting their own RIAs. And technology today we're talking about is called Pulse360, and my guest is the CEO and founder of the company, Anand, Sheth. And in this episode, we spoke about the capabilities of Pulse360, specifically around client meeting organization and automation, around prospecting, around helping client migration when you sign a new client on, how do you get them onboarded, and a new tool they launched called the AI Note Genius, which leverages generative AI to help advisors generate content. All right, but before we get started, at Ezra Group, we've seen tech stacks of hundreds of RIAs, and let me tell you, most of them are loaded down with tech debt. So you shouldn't feel too bad about yours. But let's face it, tech debt is like a giant anchor holding back your business growth. If you want to free your firm for exponential growth, you should run, not walk, to our website, ezragroup.com, and fill out the Contact Us form. Our experienced team can evaluate your current tech ecosystem, deliver targeted recommendations, optimize your existing systems and operations, or run an RFP and help you implement new software to take your firm to the next level. You can take advantage of our free consultation offer by going to ezragroup.com.
All right, we're going to a slightly different format today. We're just going to jump right in because I normally do the intro as a separate recording. I'm just going to jump into this interview. Anand, glad you're here, man.
Thank you for having me, Craig.
All right, so I'm going to do a little intro to you separately before this, and I'll plug it in. The editor will plug it in, and then we'll have this interview going. Where are you calling in from, man? I think you're in sunny California, aren't you?
I am in sunny Southern California, yes.
Well, just so you know, don't think you've got all the sun to yourself. It's sunny in New Jersey now.
Yes, I know. Right now is not the perfect time for us to say sunny Southern California because it's sunny everywhere in the U.S. But come wintertime, I'll remind you again.
Yeah, back when it gets November, I'll have you back on in November, and then you can tell me. You can tell me how terrible it is here in New Jersey when we're getting sleet.
Yep.
And you're enjoying the weather. But let's get into this interview. Can you please provide a 30-second elevator pitch for Pulse360?
Yeah, sure. Pulse360 is a software tool that helps financial advisors turn their clients into raving fans. Typically, when you want to create raving fans so that they refer and you grow your practice, there's a lot that goes behind it. You have to be organized. You have to deliver a higher level of client experience, not just answering their phone, it's more so. And so we've built a tool to help advisors streamline and systematize and bring in some automation and AI to do all of those things.
That was very concise and clear.
Right.
Anand, so can you talk a little bit more about this? So with this is our Breakaway Advisor series. We're talking to what we think are the best technology solutions for breakaway advisors. And one thing, and you are a breakaway advisor yourself, so you know a lot about this. And every breakaway advisor needs to migrate their clients from wherever they're coming from, wirehouse, broker-dealer. That's a big issue. And you want it to go very smoothly because that's really the heart and soul, the foundation of your new business. What can Pulse360 do to help breakaway advisors with their client migrations?
Yeah, so for breakaway advisors, it's, when they leave, it's like there's just so much on their plate, right? They have to do so many different elements. And where Pulse can come in is to say, look, you're going to need to communicate with if you're bringing over clients, right, you're going to need to have a communication strategy where you're telling them what your services are going to be, what your fees are going to be, what accounts you're going to potentially be needing to open up. And all of these, especially when you're migrating, you may be doing 10, maybe 15, maybe 100 clients, right? And it's pretty similar across the board in that sense. Yes, every client will be, different accounts and whatnot, but ultimately, overall theme is the same. You have to communicate with them. And so with Pulse 360, with our powerful templating system and our powerful library, you can draft up these documents that make you look like a professional. And because we connect with your CRM as well, you can kick off workflows or tasks in there. So you can make sure you and your team, if you're going to have a team, are not dropping the ball on any of these things. So it's not just the communication to the client, but also the other side, which is, hey, we got to make sure we follow up on the statement requests or paperwork, requests and things of that sort. So we streamlined that piece for, at least from a migration perspective, for advisors.
That seems incredibly helpful. So talk about the connections to the CRM. When I'm in the application and I'm kicking off workflows, is it hard? Like, what do I have to do to make that happen?
So we connect with 3 CRMs today: Redtail, WealthBox, and Salesforce. With both Redtail and WealthBox, we are actually bringing in their workflows that they may already have in those systems. And in our system, it's as easy as just picking the right workflow to get that started back in either Redtail or WealthBox.
And those are the 3 most common CRMs. So if any advisors that are looking to launch their own RIAs, if they're starting with any one of those 3 CRMs, it's going to plug right into Pulse 360, no problem.
Yeah, we do that easily, and our integration is all automatic, so you don't need to worry about any of those parts. It's going to ping over, into Redtail or WealthBox or Salesforce, your notes and tasks. So, and we bring over the contact details, so you don't have to repopulate any of that. Those are the last pieces that you need to worry about when you have so much on your plate as a breakaway advisor, right? So
one thing that you mentioned, Anand, is the templating system. I know what a template is. At least when I'm doing Microsoft Word, I can if there's documents I do a lot, I can save it as a template. Then in Word, I can click File, New, Template, and I can get my list of templates, whether it's meeting minutes, agenda, this kind of report, status report, things like that. Up will come the template. Is it the same, or what's different about it, and what's the power of the templating system in Pulse 360?
So I used to do that as well myself when I was in the advisor world for over 2 decades. The challenge with templates in Word or Google Docs is, one, each team member can have their own set of templates, and now you start not being as consistent, right? Secondly, what we've done is, in those templates, even when you go and edit them, you're going to have formatting issues. You're going to be fighting with bullet points here, or bold or italics here, and highlighting some things in here. All of that is taken care of by our template, that once you set it up, you don't need to fuss about around those things. You just need to focus on what you really need to get out to the client. And our templates are also on top, created in a way that and we've spent an enormous amount of energy and resources behind this, that they look very professional in emails. Emails are notorious. It's an old technology. Not everything comes across in all the different devices. Well, ours, we've done an inordinate amount of work to make sure your image is preserved on how exactly you format it. That's sort of what gets delivered. And when the clients open it up, they see it that way. So.
Excellent. That is much, much clearer. Thank you. All right. So moving on from client migration, another aspect of being a breakaway advisor, they now have to start prospecting for
That's
new
right.
clients, grow that business, scale that business up. What are some of the ways that Pulse 360 can help breakaway advisors with prospecting?
Yeah, so for advisors that are going to be, especially when you're breaking away and you're figuring out your marketing, you also have to, be able to convert those potential client meetings or potential prospect meetings into clients. There's few steps that go into it. We feel that you should show your professionalism to all these prospects. So what that means is if somebody schedules a call with you or a meeting with you, send them a highly personalized agenda that in our system will take you, once it's set up, it'll take you 2 minutes to send. But the impact to the prospect is going to be, wow, this advisor that I'm going to go meet with is very professional, has clearly mentioned what I am interested in, because in our system, we allow you to personalize this and customize it before it's being sent to the client or a prospect in this case. And then let's say you meet with them and they don't decide to sign up right off the bat. And now you need to send a follow-up. And so with Pulse360, what we recommend and how advisors can set it up is with our different templates for prospect templates, just send a meeting summary in less than 2 minutes. You don't have to give away the farm and detail out everything, but you can at least talk. If a client or if a prospect was interested in education and retirement, let's say, you could put those notes and said, hey, we have lots of different choices for education, and I can help you navigate that. That piece of language can be built into the email and with a click dropped in, and then you can email that to the prospect. With that, what we also do, as I mentioned before, right, there's a task element of this, because you have to make sure that you're not dropping the ball on the potential prospect, right? What if it takes them 2 weeks before they reach out to you, or maybe 3 weeks? So you could actually attach a task that goes back in your system in Redtail or Salesforce or Wealthbox that will remind you to recheck in with the prospect and say, hey, can I help answer any questions, right? So it's a full system from that perspective of always making sure you look like a professional, and you're also not ending up spending, a ton of time from your busy schedule doing these things. It could be just literally 2 minutes for an agenda, 2 minutes for a meeting summary, and that creates a much bigger impression for your prospect. So I think that part will really increase the amount of prospects that decide to hire you versus not. There are many advisors who don't do those steps, versus now with our tool, you can without having to hire a whole army of people either.
That leads me into my next question for you, which is the efficiency gains, the time saved by Pulse360. You've got a nice base of clients now. Can you
Yes.
talk to me about how many meetings do they have a month? How long do they prep? How long do they follow up? And what's the time savings they're seeing from Pulse360?
Yeah, so we looked at our data, and on average, our advisors are doing around 40 meetings a month. So that's about 10 meetings a week, let's just say, right? And now each meeting, let's say they're an hour long. Well, there's time spent beforehand, and Michael Kitces has great data on this, where you have to spend getting prepared. That could be pulling reports, that could be putting an agenda together, that could be reviewing what are you supposed to talk about, what have you promised, all of that takes time. And so it's usually, we've seen advisors say they spend anywhere from 30 to 35 meetings, 30 to 35 minutes preparing for the meeting, right? We have cut that down by half. So you're saving 15 to 20 minutes on just the prep side of this world. Then after the meeting is the other equation, right? You have to do the follow-up, as I was mentioning, for the prospect. You have to create tasks or kick off workflows, create client communication. With our AI tool, the Node Genius that we have enabled, we're seeing advisors have communicated this to us, that we're saving them anywhere from 50 to 70% of their time on the post side of things, because once it's dialed in, it's a repeat system that they can just use. Now, that typically depends on different advisors, but typically that amounts to around 30 to 35 minutes for every meeting. So you're looking at close to an hour, right? 30 to 35, 15 to 20 minutes, almost close to an hour worth of time saved per one single meeting for a client review.
And the average advisor has around 40 meetings a month. So
Yeah.
saving an hour is 40 hours saved a month.
Yeah, and if you want to be even more conservative, because hey, maybe you're not doing everything possible, at least 50% of that, so you can easily say 15 to 20 hours a month you are able to save, and you can utilize that time, especially if you're a breakaway advisor, to do all the other things that you have to get done to make sure your clients are migrated, or you're getting new clients, or your practice is being set up the way you want.
Yeah, man, we only have 24 hours in a day. Time's the one commodity you can't buy. So giving it back is invaluable. And so you're talking about a lot of hours per month returned.
Yeah, it's what's interesting is that as advisors, we don't really notice this amount of time. What we always say is, we don't have enough time. We're just so busy, right? And it's because you're spending time into doing these manual pieces of work, which is not systematized, which is not automated. And so you end up kind of just going on that wheel all the time for every meeting that you have. And sometimes I've heard advisors, they don't even want to have scheduled meetings because it's just, they know how much work goes into it and comes out of it, which is not ideal, right? And so with a tool like ours, and because I've had 2 decades of experience, I've done all of this myself, right? All sides of this. If you just start thinking in terms of systems, then Pulse360 will help you from that perspective. And then with our automation and with our AI, even writing an email communication to your client, right? We've taken that off. Even creating and suggesting tasks, that's all being done automatically with our Note Genius system. So you literally have to just kind of review what the output is and say, yeah, that's fine, and commit.
And that's all there is to it. Right. All right.
Yeah.
So moving to the next segment, we've done client migration, we've done prospecting. Now let's talk about maintaining your business, maintaining your service levels at a high level. How can Pulse360 help with that?
Yeah, so this is something where, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're helping advisors turn clients into raving fans, right? What does that mean? How do you convert a client into a raving fan? Well, if you're able to communicate better with your clients about their goals, their beliefs, their values that you may have captured in a meeting, a year ago, but you can resurface it with a couple of clicks and share a document with them that shows them, hey, Craig, here's your beliefs and values that you've told me you don't like sin stocks, you love ESG, for example, things of that sort, you can put into Pulse360 in a very organized way. A couple of things our advisors always tell us is, one, we've helped them deliver exceptional client service. And second, we've become like a second brain for them because of the level of organization that comes with Pulse360. And so when you combine those tools from a client review perspective, your meeting prep is going to be much better. You're not going to feel that you have dropped anything through the cracks because you can quickly see, oh, these are the items I have identified as next meeting. I need to cover these items. Or this client has told me, don't bring up sin stocks, or, they love ESG. So you can spend more time building portfolios or researching what they have and aligning that with their values and beliefs. So that's from a meeting prep perspective for a client review. After the fact, with the client review, is the same concept, is you push that through and then store these little nuances about a client into our system, communicate with them via an email summary, so that you can now show how professional you are, that you've been listening. Sometimes I know advisors, since I was one as well, I can say this, we like to vomit on our clients, verbal vomit, right? During a meeting, we could go an hour and a half. Our clients don't remember half the things we tell them in an hour, they're gone. So by recapping it in a proper email summary that we make it super easy with our Node Genius AI tool, then you're able to show that client that you've heard everything, you've documented everything, and with our task and automations, you're not going to drop anything either. So that's sort of where our client review process comes in for advisors, where we kind of help. This all may sound the same across, migrating clients, prospecting, or this is just because it is that way, right? We've built it in a way that it's not different every time. You basically follow the same steps over and over.
And that's where the templates come in, right?
That's where the templates come in. That's where our library comes in, which are text snippets that you may be using all the time. For example, why do you need to write an email to a client and say, use this link to schedule a time with me? That should be already saved somewhere that you can just click and add. Or, hey, we've talked about your Roth IRA and IRA accounts, and you need to do a risk assessment. With our connection with Nitrogen, previously Riskalyze, of course, you can input the risk link directly from our software. So you don't have to jump into another software to do that. And you can save this in a library, so it's always there, and it's a reminder for you to make sure what needs to be sent out to the client as well.
But can you explain how that works? What do you mean I can plug in that risk score from Nitrogen Wealth? How do I do that?
Risk assessment link. So we've built in our connection with Nitrogen, where if you're going to send out a risk, and this could happen with the prospect as well, if you want them to take a risk assessment that Nitrogen provides, you typically will log into Nitrogen and generate that link, and then you can either copy and paste in your email and send it. What we have done is built actually Nitrogen directly into, at least that capability, directly into Pulse. So when you're writing that note, you can click a button and say, generate a link for me, and we will go to Nitrogen, create that link, and then you can paste it in that email or drop it in that email and send it off. So again, that saves you a few clicks and maybe a minute or two here. But once you start doing this 10 meetings a week, for example, and the volume just starts compounding, right? So these are little time savings that we've built in.
It all adds up, right?
Yes.
All those little time savings add up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think you're on mute.
So we're running out of time. Can you give us a little taste of what's coming down the pipeline, the roadmap for Pulse360 the next 6 to 12 months?
Oh, 6 to 12 months. That's quite a bit. There's a lot.
3 to 6 months.
There you go. 3 to 6 months. We've got big plans. So right away, soon in month of May, we'll be looking to launch something what we're calling smart fields with data integration. What that means is we're going to be able to allow you to connect with Nitrogen and Holistiplan to bring in data from those, like, let's say for Holistiplan, what your total tax is, what your total income is. So when you're doing meeting prep, you can have those fields automatically start getting from those data sources and filled out. So that's in May that we're going to be launching. Second thing that we're looking to launch in May as well is Zoom recorder, as well as an in-person recorder, as well as a upload feature where you can upload an audio or video file, and that will create a transcript of your meeting. And from there, you can take that transcript and generate a professional looking client email, right? We're not talking about like what ChatGPT does as far as you don't even want to use ChatGPT, by the way, but I know some advisors do. You don't want to use that for your client data, but there's emails that are just generated that just look very, what I call blah in my case. In our system, because our template behind the scenes, your email is going to be with your branding and how it looks, and structure is really, really important. And so you can use that transcript to then create, using our Note Genius, a whole email plus the task. So it's going to be really seamless. You won't necessarily now have to have a note taker in a meeting. And from our perspective, we're building in a way that, because we're in a highly regulated industry, so we're taking care of certain things for advisors, so they no longer need to worry about from a compliance angle or SEC, FINRA rules, regulations, or even state regulations to worry about those things. We're baking all of that in behind the scenes.
That sounds incredible. I wish I was an advisor so I could use Pulse360, but I'm not. But there are plenty of advisors who are listening. So, Anand, where can anyone listening find out more information about Pulse360?
Yeah, you can visit our website, pulse360.com, and you can check out what we have to offer there besides what you've just listened. And you can schedule a demo if you'd like, or you can watch some of the videos there and decide if you want to subscribe or start a trial with us.
Excellent. Anand, thank you so much for being on the program. Really appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Craig, for having me and the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's Craig again. Thanks again for listening to this episode. Here are my top 3 takeaways. One is there's so many different capabilities around Pulse360. It's a great tool for client meeting automation, automating all the steps and tasks you need to run client meetings, to plan for them, and also the great integration into CRMs, whether you've got WealthBox, Redtail, or Salesforce. Pulse360 has the connections into those CRMs, automatically generating tasks for you. It's so easy to use, also for client prospecting and migration. And their AI Note Genius tool. Why not take advantage of generative AI all inside one application? All right, you've reached the end of another episode of the WealthTech Today podcast. Thanks for listening. But before you go, please head over to our website, ezragroup.com, and scroll to the bottom of the homepage and sign up for our newsletter. Once a month, you receive an email chock full of wealth management goodness, news, information. You will not be disappointed. Thanks again for listening, and talk to you all again next time.